I play your indie games on itch. Coming up.
I throw barrels at zookeepers. I die on purpose. I fight in space. I dodge things. I get stressed out. I die, not on purpose. I play with toys. I fight in space again. I steal some stuff. I go round in circles. I make doors disappear. And I plant some crops for my boss.
I'm Xanderwood. I make indie games and tutorials on game development. I also play your indie games every week on my channel. Make sure you subscribe and click that bell icon so you never miss a video.
I asked the people of Twitter to link their Vimjam 2 game to my post, and I play it on my channel. Some of you did just that. Here's the video, as promised. If you want to be part of future videos, make sure you follow me on Twitter, or you can submit your game to my Indie Games of the Week series. Links to all in the description. So without further ado, let's get into the games. Chonky by Endermark Games is a Donkey Kong style one-screen platformer where you play as Kong, or Chonky should I say, an adorable Bubba ape on the edge of being captured by evil zookeepers. You must use your barrels to throw at the perpetual onslaught of zookeepers and keep them at bay. But wait, it's more strategic than just mashing the throw button. Some of the zookeepers jump over those barrels, so you must strategically bam the floor at the right time to bounce those barrels right in their evil zookeeper faces. A fantastically fun and addictive game. In Death Percent 2, On the Edge of Destruction by Ian Goga, you are on the edge of destruction and must defeat an evil goblin to restore peace to your world. You play as an almighty wizard who has the ability to transverse life and death, creating a fun and interesting puzzle platforming experience. You must destroy all the enemies to unlock the door to the next room. Sometimes you'll need to be alive, and other times dead, in order to progress. Geometricus, The Final Confrontation by T. John Man is a brilliant game with a twist. It's your last day on the job as a space fighter pilot, but just before you can return home to sweet retirement and your beloved family, you encounter a final boss. But then the script gets flipped, and you are the boss. The subtle humour in the game is hilarious, especially when you defeat the guy you originally thought you were. Then comes wave after wave of backup in this action-packed, epic tale of love and death. Heartbeat by Dan Y. SHFR is a beautifully made game with a stunningly simple art style, which reminds me of the content Heartbeat makes. The controls took a little getting used to, but once I'd grasped them, it was a fun and challenging experience. You are dead, but if you can beat your boss in a fight, you'll get one more chance at life. The only problem is, your boss is hovering in the air, and you can't perform jump attacks, which means, for the most part, you're dodging attacks and waiting for him to drop to the ground before you can do damage. Which is fine, but the boss attacks did feel a little random, and a lot of the time I was just stood waiting for the boss to drop down. You could make the spikes and laser beams target the player's position instead of spawn in at random times. On the whole, this is a nice game with a legitimate challenge. Unfortunately, it was a challenge I wasn't able to beat. Intern by Ginger Ninja-ish is a game of managing stress. As the intern, your job is to fetch paperwork, deliver coffee to employees and empty the trash, all while holding your emotional stress together so that you don't have a meltdown at work. There is no such thing as sick pay in this line of work. The art style is amazing. I love the pixel art retro feel, and the game has a way of making prescription drug abuse and alcoholism a hilarious part of everyday life. After every day, you report back to your boss and receive instructions on what the next day entails. I, for one, couldn't beat day 2 of work without stressing out. Perhaps you can do better. Either way, this is an awesomely well-made game and definitely worth a look. Isadoras Edge by Shovel is an action platform adventure where you need to fight your way through a level to reach the boss. And what a boss it is. I absolutely loved this one. The different attacks the boss had were varied and challenging, perhaps a little too challenging as I didn't actually manage to beat it. I guess evil wins on this occasion. The art style is amazing and the character is cute but deadly. During the first level, the sword attacks were tough to time as the blade only does damage when hitting on the edge, and for some reason the bats seem to be the toughest enemy in the game.
There was once a broken toy named Jack.
Jumpin' Jack Dash by Sidfish Games and Mighty Jaw is a game where you need to transverse the treacherous toy box as the titular toy Jumpin' Jack Dash help Jack in his quest to find his broken pieces buried in the cluttered box. This is a wonderfully well-made platform game with amazing sound and graphics. I particularly like the narration. It really gave a heartwarming feel to the story about a toy that just wants to be played with. The level design is spot on in terms of progressive difficulty. It took me a few attempts to reach the top, but at no point did I ever want to quit. This game has great potential to be a much bigger game, and considering this was done in just a short space of time for a game jam, is purely amazing. Nice work. Last Stand by Hollowed Games is a top-down space shooter whereby you have to defeat waves of enemy spaceships and remain alive for 2 straight minutes, after which you'll encounter the boss. The 2-minute survival round was fun, but a little tricky as I died a few times without really knowing why, as there is no indication of a player health bar. I like how you receive upgrades every so often, and the faster gun speed definitely made things a lot easier. Where this game really comes alive is the boss fight. I really enjoyed the boss mechanics, and it was super satisfying beating the game. Midnight Heist by It's10 is a fun top-down fetch and return style game where you play as a criminal working for Rob Boss, which is an hilarious take on the artist Bob Ross. I love it. The only problem is you have a fear of the dark, and straying too far from the light source means you passing out from fear and having to restart. The art style is great, and I love the little Easter eggs for monkeys with guns and 8-bits to infinity in the background of the levels. This game is really well put together, from the phone calls to your boss, to using the rope mechanic to drag your crate through dark patches you wouldn't normally be able to run through. Nice work. Rimshot by Clone13 and Space Spy is a gorgeously simple top-down shooter that looks outstanding. The controls are simple, and I especially like the power-up options at the end of each round. You start with 3 lives, or hit points, and as you take damage, your weapon becomes stronger, which is a great touch. Although that first single shot did feel a little slow. I'd start with the double and increase from there. One thing I'd definitely add in would be a HP bar for the boss, as it would be really nice to see how close to beating it I got before dying, and it would give me a gauge as to when to use my power-up abilities. I also really liked the boss variations. Each boss had different attack patterns that kept things fresh as you play. The controls are super slick, and the game has a ton of replayability. Definitely worth checking this one out. The Cutting Edge by Akita Engineer, Mr. Biggles1 and Peter Previn is an exploration game where, with the help of your edge cutter, you must explore the mysterious world in hopes to find out the truth behind your imprisonment. The edge cutter weapon can disintegrate blocks and also restore them, so it's up to you to figure out the correct path in the game. I really liked the way the game made you feel present in the world, and the visuals were also really well done. The only thing I'd say is it wasn't too clear on how to restore blocks, and this had me stumped for some time. In Saving the Farm, you play as a scarecrow, tasked with growing crops and selling your spoils to the local people in an effort to raise as much money as you can. You work for a farmer, which is the chap glowing red running around after me every 2 seconds. The poor chap is on the verge of bankruptcy, and you, the scarecrow, need to help the farming business survive. Considering all the good work you're putting in, this guy seems hell-bent on slowing you down because every time he catches up to me, my movement is disabled. It's like landing on the miss a go space in the game of life. So frustrating. I have a job to do, for crying out loud. Let me get to work. As always, a special thank you to James Welch, Basic Terror, Cole, Tamara Alexic, Zan, Retro Galaxy, Clone 13, Foozle CC, Jet Simon, Olivier Bernier, Fam Van, Alex Fedorov, Arta Wawijas, and Amari Lewis for supporting my game dev journey. If you want to get access to all my music, pixel art, and game packs on a monthly basis, then check out the Patreon link in the description.